Hello, everyone. My name is Liliana Encarnacion, and today I'll be presenting my environmental current event, which is the Caribbean Sargassum Crisis and the cooperation between Mexico and Dominican Republic to manage it. And I'll also be explaining what the crisis is, why it's happening, and how it connects to our Module 7 on water and our Module 8 on air and air pollution. So, what is sargassum? So, it is the large brown seaweed algae of the genus Sargassum that floats in masses resembling islands and never clings to the seafloor. So, essentially, it it's a type of seaweed that exists in the Atlantic and the Caribbean, but recently it's been washing up in massive amounts. Scientists link these increases to fertilizer runoff, warmer ocean temperatures, and the change in ocean circulation. The seaweed forms huge mats that can overwhelm coastlines. So, so again, like I stated, it is caused by artificial runoff, warmer ocean temperatures, and changing ocean currents. A very key note to point out is that this is all natural. Like this happens naturally every year. In Dominican Republic, we call this the time when the ocean cleans itself, which is when all the seaweed comes to the shore. It's like towards normally our rainy season, so that's why we call it our it's that's why we say the ocean is cleaning itself. But recently it has been arriving in record-breaking amounts, which is why this is an issue. I wanted to emphasize this picture. It shows right here the course of the Great Sargassum Belt. So it essentially starts, or it's on the eastern side of South America. So by Venezuela, Colombia, and it comes up from around there to the Caribbean and the Atlantic, and it affects like Central America, South America, and the Caribbean. And our two targets that we're talking about today is Mexico, which is located in Central America, and the Dominican Republic, which is located in the Caribbean. And I wanted to show this picture. This is recent in July of 2019 in Florida. So this is before the cleaning and this is after. Obviously, we can see in the ocean is still very brown, showing the large amounts of seaweed that is still in the water and all the seaweed that's still on the shore. This is after the cleanup. So, so the connection to Module 7. So the first would be it shades coral reefs, which block sunlight. Second would be reducing oxygen, which harms marine life. Third would be composition lowers water quality. And number four would be the effects, which is it affects ecosystem services, fisheries, coastal biodiversity, and locals. This crisis connects directly to Module 7 on water systems. When this particular algae piles up, it blocks sunlight from reaching coral reefs and seagrasses. As it decomposes, oxygen levels drop, which harm fish and other marine species. This decreases water quality and affects ecosystems and services, coastal biodiversity, and local fishing communities and companies. Its connection to Module 8, which is air and air pollution. So the first one would be because of the essentially decomposing or yeah, the dead seagrass or seagrass, I'm sorry. It releases hydrogen sulfide. Second would be it pollutes coastal air. Third, because of this, it causes headaches, nausea, and respiratory irritation. And third, fourth, it impacts residents, tourists, and cleanup workers. This event also relates to Module 8. Um, it releases this hydrogen sulfate gas, which smells like rotten eggs and can irritate the eyes and the lungs. This lower air quality in coastal towns and affects residents, tourists, and workers. It shows how a water-based problem can quickly become an air quality issue. And I also want to point out the fact that a lot of people um, are sensitive to this particular um, algae. So a lot of it causes irritation, yes, but it also could cause irritation on the skin because it's not something that a person comes across to on a daily basis. So the Mexican and Dominican response. Their first response was new regional cooperation initiative. Their second was sharing satellite tracking data. Third was joint cleanup strategy. Fourth would be maritime resources pooled or marine life resources pooled. And fourth and fifth would be focusing on long-term management. Because this issue is too large for one country to manage alone, Mexico and Dominican Republic recently announced a coordinated response. They plan to share satellite data to track blooms, collaborate on beach cleanup strategies, and combine resources to increase efficiency. Their goal is a long-term regional management. Again, this is something that happens naturally. So they are working together not to eliminate the process entirely because it is the way of life. So it does have to happen. But because of the large amounts that it's happening, they're trying to control it. So, so the sustainable response and the blue response. So the first would be cleanup, the second would be recycling, and the third would be new products. Um, One promising aspect of their plan is exploring ways to recycle sargassum. Researchers are experimenting with turning it into fertilizer, biogases, and even building materials. This supports the Caribbean blue economy by creating economic opportunities while reducing economic waste. And one of the ways that they could obviously like turn it in is like fertilizer for the areas around it, for biogas and construction materials. This next slide, it is a little blurry. I am very sorry about that, but it does highlight kind of the progress or some of the ideas that they have for using it for the better good. So they're using it, it's linked for human, like it's linked to human health, sea life, tourism, and navigation. So the processing, extraction, and the characterization, this is how they would essentially go about it. And I just wanted to make that in a full screen instead of making it small and not being able to truly see it. So why does this matter? It matters because it impacts tourism and fishing, it harms ecosystems, and it causes water and air pollution. It requires cross-country cooperation and shows how environmental systems connect. This crisis affects tourism, fishing, marine habitats, and coastal health. It also shows how water and air systems are connected. Countries must respond together to manage the problem effectively. By linking this to Module 7 and Module 8, we see how environmental sustainability depends on protecting water quality, air quality, and coastal ecosystems. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed.